everybody. Welcome to the Praise Podcast. My name is Eric. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm joined by the best co-host around, the Brooke Paninsky. And we're here. I just got in trouble because I wasn't smiling enough. And so Brooke got on to me, and now I'm smiling. You can't see it through the podcast microphone, but I'm smiling. And here we are. It's going to be a good day.
The people will thank me for it later.
The people will thank you. It's a good day. We are excited for today's episode. As always, thank you all for listening and tuning in to the Praise Podcast, all the ways that you guys send emails in and just encourage us. It's always an encouragement that you guys are an encouragement to us and that you are encouraged by the conversations that we have. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sending ratings and reviews and sharing the podcast on your social media and just all the ways that you guys are a part of this podcast. When we say it is the Praise Podcast family, we mean it. You guys are just a part of this family and a part of our conversations, and so we always appreciate how you all join in. And we will hopefully be encouraged today as well. And kind of speaking along that, I guess you could say this is a Praise Podcast testimony story. But so a couple, I guess it was last Saturday, we had a Kept gathering, and that's a women's event we do here at our church, where all the women come and they gather. And so we got to have one of those. Brooke always leads worship at those. Maria, our women's pastor, she usually preaches at those. And it's just a great time. But we have a extremely faithful listener that is always one of our most encouraging listeners, named Brenda.
I know she's listening right now.
Brenda, we know you're listening. So hello.
Hey, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. But Brenda had reached out to us, and she's emailed us a few times. And she's always just super encouraging and just, all those sort of things. And she had told us that she thought that she was going to be able to be in attendance at the Kept gathering. And so Brenda, we do we stream our services online, but we also do a TV broadcast on our local Channel 3 ABC affiliate. And so she had been watching through that, watches online, and joins in our online conversation. And so she had emailed Brooke and I and said, hey, I think I'm going to be able to be at Kept on Saturday. We were like, well, if you make it, be sure that you introduce yourself because we would love to meet you. Well, sure enough, Brenda was at Kept on Saturday. And so not only did we get to meet Brenda face to face, Brooke, we got to baptize Brenda.
Yeah, we did.
And so cool. Just what a cool, obviously nothing that we did or this podcast did, but what a testimony to just not only what can happen through just having conversations through microphones and what can happen through online service streaming and TV ministry, and that Brenda encountered Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's just super, super cool.
And she drove like an hour, she said. So she's about an hour away. So it was just really cool, like to put a face to a name you get on your email list, and then not only do you get to do that, but then like you get to like put just life behind a face, like getting to know her and her story and hearing her testimony, and ever so briefly, but then just like, she just, I don't know, like there was just something about her that was just so encouraging for me, just to be able to be around and just see how God was working and stirring in her life. That just moved me. And she was just awesome. So yeah, we got to baptize her. She came, and she was talking to you about it first, and so I don't know how that conversation came to be, but she, I guess, asked to be baptized while she was there. And we had gotten to baptize one other person too at the end of that service spontaneously. Just so that was super awesome. But yeah, it's just cool to see God move, and that he moves through podcasts, he moves through TV ministry, he moves through Saturday morning, gatherings, and it's just encouraging all the way around. So it was awesome. It was just an honor to be a part of it.
So Brenda, we know you're listening.
Yeah, you're the best.
We're praying for you still, and we know we'll hear from you.
Yeah,
and soon, and we'll see you soon. So, but that was just a cool moment. So again, when we say things like, share this podcast, it might encourage somebody or it might have an impact. Again, that has nothing to do with Brooke and I want to hear more people hear us talk. We know that there are not very many people out there that want to hear us talk, but hopefully there are people out there that Jesus can use us talking and can come into an encounter with him and
Yeah.
a relationship with him, because that's
Yeah.
what it is all about.
For
So,
sure.
so that's a cool story we wanted to share.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Brooke and I were blessed by that, and just to get to meet Brenda and then get to be a part of that story.
Like, truly, Eric, you say we were blessed, but like the women who then got to like then meet Brenda and hear her testimony and to watch her be baptized. Like, so that was encouraging for people that have never even met her or that she's never met. There were like 20, 30 people who were still hanging out afterwards, and we were like, hey, all, like, we got another baptism, and they all lost their minds, hooting and hollering, so excited, and stayed to watch. And the encouragement that even brought them, I think was just super powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had some just really, I don't feel like it's prideful to say, we've had some really good episodes recently. So if you have not listened to our last few episodes, you should definitely go back and listen to those, the conversations that were had. We kind of dove into kind of the church dropout world and the church hurt world, and we got to interview Josh and Reagan Robinson, and just some really good stuff and good conversations came from that. So if you're tuning in and you've missed the last few episodes, after you listen to this one, I would encourage you to go back and listen to those, because just a lot of good conversation seemed to stem from those conversations. And so we would love to have you join in on that as well. But today we have another friend in the podcast studio with us that we are going to introduce you to. Mm-hmm. His name...
This is so exciting.
His name is Noah Hanson. And for those of you who are like, who is Noah Hanson? Well, you are going to meet Noah today, and you will be glad and blessed that you did get to meet Noah. But we're going to bring him in here in a second. But just to give you a little background on who Noah is. So Noah is a part of our worship staff. Mm-hmm. He has been, when did you technically, was it August? July?
August.
Was it August that
I'm not a high schooler.
That you technically started? So, so Noah has been on our worship staff since August of this year. So he's fairly fresh to us.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why we want you all to get a chance to meet him and know him and to hear his heart, because we like Noah.
We don't like a lot of people.
No, we don't like
but
a lot
we
of
like
people,
Noah.
but we like Noah. So, but yeah, so we're gonna hang out with Noah today, but Noah, like I said, he's part of our worship staff. Mm-hmm. Kind of his main roles on a weekend here at Central. He is leading worship for our Kid Depot area, which is kindergarten through 5th grade, and then you can also find him leading worship for our middle school students in Ignite, which is 6th grade through 8th grade. You can also find Noah leading worship in our high school areas, which is Fusion, which is high school age, 9th grade through 12th grade. So Noah is a little bit of and then of course he gets mixed into all kinds of stuff in between that. But so Noah, that's kind of his role and his job. So he's putting together worship and leading worship, and we'll get into this. But he just has a real, as somebody who did that job for a very, very long time, I know that it is it's a very unique role, and it's not an easy role. Mm-hmm. And so he just brings such a unique and just humble spirit to it that it's kind of required to do that role well, and he has that. So we're excited to hang out with him. Noah, welcome to the Praise Podcast.
Hi. Woo! Hey, Noah.
It is
so excited.
I wonder if I'll call you Zach at all.
Don't. If anyone doesn't know, that's my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brooke, ironically, apparently knew Noah's brother.
I can't wait to just tell this whole story, because God is just so cool.
Yeah. So
we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah.
But before we get to that, we like to do a little thing called Song Spotlight, Noah. So we know that you've listened to this podcast at least once or twice. So we're just going to go around. We share a song that we've been listening to a whole bunch recently, and we just tell the people that they should listen to that song as well. So you want to kick us off? You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start off. So I came across this past week, and it's actually by River Valley Worship.
Okay.
It's called "Thank You, Lord," and it really just hit me in this song as it gets to like that chorus area where it just says, "Thank you, Lord, for your mercy. Thank you, Lord, for your grace. Every time I turned around, you were there to make a way. Thank you, Lord, for your kindness. Thank you, Lord, for your love. Every time I turn around, I can see that you're enough. And so I think that song kind of just hit me in my season that I'm in. And so I've been just listening to that nonstop and unintentionally been listening to that. It's just been playing constantly. And I'm just like, wow, okay, obviously there's something you want to teach me in that. So yeah, that's my song of the week.
Who did you say that was by? River
Valley.
Worship. Where are they from?
I have no clue.
I don't know if I've heard of them.
I suggested on Spotify.
That's like the best when you come across like something good and you're like, I don't like, this is like a newfound treasure. Yeah. Like I don't know who they are, but I like it. That's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to check them out. I don't know if I know that one. Brooke, what do you got for us?
This one is super cool because it's like a, it's new to me, but not new to many people. But it's like brings you back to a familiar place. So it's called Give Me Jesus by Upper Room. And it's got like this tie to Give Me Jesus, the hymn. Mm-hmm. And which, I don't know, like again, like that song is new to me. But then like the parts of it that, are from the hymn that it's just like, oh, like that's familiar. I don't know. It just makes me feel good when I listen to it. But it's super sweet. I think lyrically is very strong. And it says, it's so simple. But like it starts out with, I don't want anything but you. You're more than every dream come true. All the things I thought I wanted don't come close to knowing you. Now that I'm yours and you are mine, our love is the secret that I find. I'll spend forever in the pleasure I found in looking in your eyes. Give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. More than silver and more than gold, you are the treasure that I hold. Now that I've tasted your goodness, nothing else will satisfy. Just give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world, and so on. And so that's like the bulk of the lyrics other than just the give me Jesus part. But I just thought like, man, I don't know, the desire to really only like want him, and to be at a place where you really mean that. And okay, so this song, I'm going to not get on it like a spiel about like all my personal life right now. But like, I think right now the Lord has been really working on me in things that, like, I don't know, like, I wouldn't say like I'm a materialistic person, but like when I have my mindset on something that I want like to buy, like I want to buy it. You know what I mean? Like, and so we've been van hunting. And so like, it's been a whole thing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, I know exactly the one that I want. And I know it's so silly and so practical and so real life, but still the Lord is even using that to just be like, but if you were to only have this, would it be good enough because I gave it to you? Like if you were to only have this one, would it be good enough because I gave it to you? And, like he just keeps, and he just points it all out and he asks. And so anyways, it just really started this like strain of thought of like, man, Lord, like I've got a lot of stuff in the way that I shouldn't have in the way. And so when this song came on, and I just heard it a few days ago, and then it really was like, you can have all this world, just give me Jesus. And I know like it might sound so silly, but to be like, I just don't care about anything in this world, like maybe others do or that I do right now or whatever. And I'm like, I just want you and what you have for me, And so, I mean, like, it's just, I don't know, it's practical, but spiritual. And so it's just like, it's kind of what the Lord's walking me through right now, and some refining of like really testing, like, would you be satisfied with this because it's from me and of me than like what you think you want? So anyways.
How when you're becoming a mom, the Lord is teaching you through
minivans.
Shopping.
Oh my
through
gosh.
Minivans. Wow.
Come on now. I never thought I'd be this person. I never thought I'd be here.
This is what you have to look forward to later in life, Noah.
I'm so excited.
That's amazing. But anyways, what about you? What's your song?
All right. Like? So this is going to stun people.
No way.
That some rock.
That listen to this and hear my ramblings.
Oh gosh.
But
it's from the radio.
It is. It is
really?
It's a radio song.
What is it? Song. I can't wait.
So
the people are just like on the edge of their seats.
So last night we had a concert here at the church. We had Mac Powell and friends. So Mac Powell, former lead singer of Third Day, And then Mike Dunahee, who was the lead singer for Dunahee, whatever. He was the lead singer for 10th Avenue North. And then we had Josh Baldwin here. And then we had David Leonard, who he was in All the Sons and Daughters, Great Are You Lord, and some Need to Breathe stuff. A lot of super just talented group of guys. Okay. So I had the opportunity to just, randomly as we were sitting there talking, I got to talking to David and Josh for a while. And they were just super cool guys. And, anytime somebody comes in, you always kind of have, like, we're helping them load in, we're helping them do stuff. And, you're just, sometimes conversation naturally happens. Sometimes you hardly talk, And so I just got talking to these guys, and they were just super chill and super relaxed, and had really cool conversation with them. They were both really, not that the other guys weren't, just these are the guys I talked to. One of the biggest things was David and I really were vibing over hats, and he complimented my hat and liked it. So there was just a genuine connection there right from the beginning. Or I don't want to say we're best friends, but
pretty close.
We hugged. So, but
and then he heard how you felt about radio songs. Yeah. He changed his mind.
And then he shoved me away. No, but anyway, so they were just super cool guys, and got to talk about a lot of different music stuff with them, and just ministry, and just a lot of random things. So it was a good conversation. But anyways, so David, all these guys are super talented, but there was David voice is just, unbelievable. Like, next level, like, quite possibly I'm going to say the best vocal that maybe I've heard. Definitely the best vocal.
Like stripped? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like live?
Yeah.
Live
just,
vocal?
it was.
Without a mic, without anything.
It was,
wow,
it was
so cool.
like, I was running camera, and it was like he started singing. I've heard him sing, like, you know what I mean? But I've never heard him live. Mm. And it was one of those, like, I'm staring through the camera lens, and he starts singing. And it was like, like you move over while the
like,
camera.
Eric,
like,
camera two,
what in the world is? But
cool.
Talk about like anointed.
I was
gifted.
About to say the anointing.
Just like a different. And again, all these guys super talented, super incredible. But like he started singing, it was just different.
Wow,
it was just there was something different about it. But anyways, so he has a song right now that he sang last night. Which, of course, it was like an acoustic show, so it didn't sound.
It didn't sound right.
It didn't sound radio at that time. But after I listened to it that night, I looked it up. I go, oh man, this is a radio song. Yeah. But it's good. So it's called Good Lord.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've heard it. It's definitely on the radio. But I don't know. It's just good. Like hearing him sing it. I will say I liked his live acoustic version better than I like the.
That's what did it.
The other one. But
wait, what are lyrics of it? Are you going to read something?
Yeah. Okay. The chorus is, I may not know what tomorrow holds, but I know one thing for sure. Good Lord, I got a good Lord every day, every step of the way. It's you who opened the door. Good Lord, I got a good Lord. But.
I do know that song. Yeah, I'm the worst at this game.
Yeah, it's
who sings it? What's the name of it? I don't know until I hear it. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. It's very it's like a. I don't know that folky is the right word, but it's a real folky vibe.
It's got
and I really like. It's got some soul to it.
But he was playing it, and like I don't know. I'm a little known fact about me. Brooke knows this, whatever. But like. I have this weird affinity with Rhodes keyboards as well. Like, like I own one. I own a Rhodes, a 1980s Rhodes, and like I've just always, for as long as I can remember, been just fascinated by Rhodes keyboards. If you don't know what they are, look them up. You'll be fascinated too. But he brought in a Krumar, which is not a Rhodes, but it's like a newer version of like an analog electric piano, which was just super cool. And so we were talking about that and just different things. But he was a great keys player, and that sounded really good. But yeah, so that's my song. You've probably heard it if you listen to the radio at all. Good Lord, David Leonard. more importantly, just a good dude.
That's awesome.
Like a real dude. They all were.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they all were. Josh and Mac and Mike, they were all just really down to earth and good guys. And so
I can kind of like commend because both of you were like super involved yesterday, like in just conversation. And then also Noah, you were their runner, so you got to spend a lot of time with them. But like I hide in my office if anybody like that comes to this place. Like I'm too uncomfortable. I'm too awkward. And it's like they're just people, but you're like, I don't even care that you're just a person. I don't even trust myself to like say hello. Like, so you guys are brave. I'm like, like I'm to the point, like the only person who could come to this building that I love and who I still would not approach would be like Carrie Job. Like everybody knows how I feel about Carrie Job. I'm like, I just want to like be you when I'm older, you know? And then I'm like, but even if she came here, I would not go anywhere near her. I would just like sit and soak it in like from afar, but there's just no way I would trust myself to like speak. Mm-hmm. There's just no way. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We'll bring her to you.
Yeah. We don't have to go there.
Yeah.
The awkwardness would just be unbearable.
It'd be worth seeing. I think it would just be a lot of like screaming and a lot of like the handshaking thing.
Yeah.
And the
honestly,
you would put your hands over your mouth because when you get like embarrassed or you get excited, that's what you do.
Yeah, because my cheeks turn real pink.
Yeah. And then you would.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
I don't know. She'd have to come up to me though.
I don't know.
We'll rock, paper, scissors for it.
I bet in the moment.
I'll lose my mind.
You might.
Well, I did okay with Christine Kane, so you know, we'll throw that on the table.
Well, I feel like Christine Kane and Carrie Job are also only like two of the people that you were like the same height as that are out there in the world. So I feel like that would help you confidently as well.
Yeah, and also I just want to like do what you're doing like so bad, and so I mean like, and it's so cool. Oh, that's a whole other thing, but I will just say it's so cool. Like we had a Zoom, one of our last Zoom calls for Ecclesia, and Chris was talking just like she was kind of giving this like last word, I guess, before we were wrapping up and done. And I'm like, girl, we talked to the same Holy Spirit. Like Maria's texting me on the phone, you know, like on the phone, like, are you getting this? Like, are you hearing what she's saying? Like Holy Spirit unity is just so cool. And so then when like you hear things or you are walking through things or you are studying things that like somebody who you also like admire, like in this world of like Christian leadership, it like are preaching what you've been learning about. You're like, oh, come on. Like it was just really cool. But anyways, so I've been talking too much and we'll stop. But for the sake of this episode, I'm so excited to move on to the next portion of what we've got because it is a What's Your Story episode like Eric alluded to earlier. And like he shared, we have our sweet Noah Hanson in studio with us. And we're just thrilled to introduce him and share a little bit of background because that's so fun, you know, when you know a little bit more about a person and how they came to be where they are. It just, you can look at them in a different light, and not that it's a better or worse light, but it's just a different light, and it's just super cool. So we're excited to share about Noah's journey to Central and just his heart and where the Lord has him right now and his ministry. But first, before we get into like anything too wildly deep, Noah, if you're ready, I have the very first What's Your Story episode Praise Podcast question for you.
Alrighty.
Are you ready for it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. You're going to get it anyways. So Noah, question number 1 is, what's something that most people may not know about you? And I do feel like this is easy for you because you're like fresh. So there's a lot that people may not know about you yet. So I'm anxious to hear what you got to say.
I honestly have no clue.
It's like a weird skill or like maybe a habit or like interest. What do you think would like surprise someone? I already know one like about you that you could totally use to answer this question.
Wow. I don't know. I would say coffee, but a lot of people drink coffee.
No, but keep going because that's what I was going to say. Just, it's like I'm like.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I think one thing that someone may not know about me is that one day I do want to open up a coffee shop, wherever that is and whatever it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's kind of
you're a coffee person. Sure, we all are, but like you actually know about coffee.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You do. You're humble. You do.
Not a lot.
Didn't you used to work at a coffee shop?
I did.
Yeah, like you're making people's coffee.
Yes.
So you got to know about it to make it.
Yes.
Yeah, see.
Yes. Certain temperature of milk.
Oh, there you
certain
go.
amount of pumps.
Are you good at frothing?
Yes, kind of.
Can you do latte art?
I can. I showed you.
I know you did.
So
DIY.
interesting.
I'm just leading you.
This summer.
It's my job.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you would ask me to do it now, I might be a little bit rusty. So that's been at least 4 months.
Latte art is so
4
much harder.
months.
So much harder than.
It takes so much time too.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing to like doodle in someone's drink?
I don't know.
Like you shouldn't doodle in anyone's drink.
What kind of? I can't quit. Okay, what kind of art? Like, what do you do? What does that mean?
I'm searching it real quick. I don't know the exact name.
Because you always see that little leaf thing that people like draw with the cream or whatever it is. You know.
I didn't really do the cream. I did like a squiggle. I don't know if that's not the right term.
Well, apparently it's better than.
Do not trust me.
What doodle?
But basically with your latte art, you would go and you start at the back of the cup, actually at the front of the cup furthest away from you, and you would like kind of just go side to side, and then once you get to the back of the cup, you then just like pull all the way through.
To me, that looks like a leaf.
Yeah, I
right?
call it a
like,
leaf.
Right?
Talking about?
Yes, and it's got the little heart at the top. I don't know. It's just like it's very leafy.
Yeah.
Phoebe would say.
Mine was different because this one's a little bit more.
Noah's showing us pictures right now, just live in studio, showing us photos
of his doodles.
Of my doodles.
That was too much. That was too much. My belly hurts now.
I'm trying to find some, but to find this fast is you probably can't find him.
Oh, that's okay. You know what I think people would rather hear about?
God.
Because you're so pure. If you don't know anything about Noah, Noah's pure. It's probably like the number one adjective I use to describe Noah to someone is that he's pure. I don't say that about Eric, but I say that about Noah.
No. Wow. She uses the word pure and precious often.
And Eric,
two words
every
that is never,
every time I do, Eric's like, wow, well, you've never described me as those things. But so Noah is pure. I love him so much. Okay, so I guess I'm going to ask you this in reverse because you are so sweet. I feel like it's hard for you to like be mean, and to answer this question, you kind of have to be mean a little bit. But my question is, what's your least favorite song to like lead worship with? Because you got to like just dog on someone's song right now. And I know it's probably difficult for you to do.
Well, it's nothing like.
It's nothing against them.
It's nothing against the lyrics at all. I think the only song that I've personally just like played and have led is I Thank God. Just because it's fast. When you're trying to lead and play acoustic guitar, like
it's hard.
That strumming. I mean, I've never heard as fast as of a click as that song. Mm-hmm. Which
it's quick.
And it's fast, and like trying to do that, focusing on the words, and also making sure that everyone is leading well, and
that is a lot. It really is.
That song is probably the most distracting for me. Just because I'm moving my hand at the speed of light. So
see, he's so nice because even it's not that he doesn't like anything about the song. He's just like, I'm not the best at it, and it's just kind of distracting, It has nothing to do with the song. It has everything to do with just himself. Mm-hmm. You're just the best. So with that being said, what's your favorite song to lead?
Probably Son of Suffering.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Probably since I heard that from their album, Homecoming album. I think that was 2021. I think that was last year.
Yeah, I think we had an Easter song from that album, didn't we?
But
yeah,
Yeah, it's such an amazing song. I mean, I think that just demonstrates the gospel so very well. And that you don't really hear a lot of songs about suffering. I mean, like you hear songs about like, are you washed by the blood and stuff, but like this was a little bit more intimate of the son of suffering.
I mean, they literally say he's acquainted with grief.
Yeah,
just like that's bold.
Just like
bold
as it's
lyrics.
Like coming out of like Isaiah 53, I think, or it might be. I think so. I think that might be it. Yeah, where he was like crushed for us, and it was the son of suffering. Just that song resonates really hard with me. Just whenever I lead it, it's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, I think it's powerful lyrically for sure, and I also think it's powerful. Like I like the movement of that song. Like the build of that song is so good because it's like it gives you a minute to sulk in it and to really like take it in, but it doesn't keep you there, and it brings you back on the other side of just like. I mean, that bridge is just stellar to me. Like, when your whole congregation is getting after it and like the band's on it. I mean, it's just across the board. Like it's so powerful. But I like the movement there, that song too. Like it's very nice.
Yeah.
That's a solid pick. It really is. That's a solid pick. Okay, Noah, here's the next question. Are you ready? No. What is...
Yes,
I'm not ready. Oh my gosh. Okay. The next question is, what's one dream, goal, or thing you wish to accomplish? One dream, goal, or thing.
Well, I already mentioned the coffee shop, so I can't say that. What's one dream? I want to visit Australia.
Ooh, yeah. That would be fun.
I just want to hear Australians speak. I like how they speak.
I want to go to New Zealand, which is kind of Australia. They
would not like that you said that. No.
Maybe we can take like a trip and go to Australia, then New Zealand.
That's good. I just want to see all the Lord of the Rings stuff.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I have a dear friend named Callum, and he, I met him in college, and he's from New Zealand, and so he would literally just be like, disappointed that you even like collided the two together. Lauren,
aren't they close?
Well, yeah, but it's
okay.
they're it's
I mean,
to them and that
sure,
it's different.
Yeah,
it's like we're not Chicago.
No.
You know what I mean? Like don't come at us with that, Yeah, it's the same thing. But anyways, so Lauren got to go. One of my other dear friends, her graduation present was to go to New Zealand to visit Callum and tour and do all the things. And but yeah, like the pictures are incredible. Like her experience was awesome. And I mean, the jet lag was real. I mean, mercy. That's crazy. But no, I mean, she loved it. So I mean, it'd be worth going. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Just want to go see some kangaroos.
I heard that kangaroos are really actually mean animals.
Probably.
I don't know.
know.
Well, speaking of angry kangaroos.
I can just picture Noah walking up with this kangaroo, so excited, and then it just starts like punching him.
Spits on him. Is it Kangaroo Jack? What's that movie?
Kangaroo Jack.
Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah, like I get to see Noah just walking up, get ready to squeeze its cheeks, like little, and then this kangaroo just
shows its teeth.
Just starts decking him because I think they like to box. Like, they legitimately box.
That's hilarious.
I'll probably lose.
Stuffs Noah in its pouch and.
Sweet Noah, and he'd let him. He'd just let him.
She's gonna be like,
oh gosh, that's amazing. Well, people just don't realize these are real conversations. Oh my gosh, this is lunch. This is lunchtime. Okay, so Noah, speaking of boxing with kangaroos, we're super excited to dive in and hear your story a little bit more. So I will ask the last and final question, and that is, Noah Hanson, what is your story?
21 years of it, so I'll try to start. I was born, but for the most part, my story has always been just growing up in the church. My dad has been a youth pastor, now as a pastor, and so I've just grown up inside the church, seeing all the insights and just of what ministry is like, and around the age of 8, I I haven't really told anyone this. My parents know this, but around the age of 8, I was in the bathtub, and I was like, you know what, Lord? I want to be saved. And so I called my parents into the bathroom, and and I was like, I accepted Jesus. And they're like, okay. And then I was like, they were like, what now? And they're like, we're going to pray. We're going to pray to him. And so at that point, like, that was at that time where, like, I was just scared of hell. I was honestly just like, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to go through fire. I don't want to, the gnashing of the teeth, And so I think at that point I understood what heaven and I understood what hell was and everything. And so I think at that point, and I think God's been working in my life since that moment through, but I think over the time of my life, I strayed away from truth. I never really devoted myself to the Word of God, taking it literal as taking His Word as my refuge, as my saving grace, and I just kind of went about like knowing the basics of it, but not applying the basics, not applying the Word to my life, and I think just over time for me, I fell into pornography as a way to cope with how I was feeling, with how I was living my life, and that led to a long time of just being a slave to that sin, being a slave to pornography, and it really destroys. It really destroys your understanding of love and your understanding of truth, because you're seeking truth in the worst and the wrongest place ever. Of course, through porn and through seeing all these fake love videos. And so for me, it was just so hard to get past that. And so, growing up, that was with me all the way through high school. And people would never know that looking at me. They just see me as the PK. And I wanted them to see me as the PK because I didn't want them to know my dirty secret, my dirty sin that was really inside of me, destroying me, leading me to death, only death. And so at the end of my high school year, I left. So I was born here in Illinois. We moved away to Missouri. We moved back. That's how Zach. Because
before
we lived
you
here
left.
before.
Yeah.
And so before we left to Missouri when I was younger, and then we moved back to Mount Vernon here, and then I moved away for college. And so during my all that sin was leading there, and I moved away, and I was with my friends, and I was partying. I was living just in the world without any direction, without any really guidance in my life. And I was just leaning to what I felt was right, what I felt was for me to decide. And so, I just remember and I was still involved in church in this time. And it's sad to see, but I just remember one night where I was with my friends, and I was getting drunk, and then the next morning I led worship. And no, never do that. First off, but you might as well just not go to church if you're just getting drunk. I mean,
man, I can't even wait to
the night before.
I can't even wait to dig into this. And I'm tempted to just not go there now, but there's so much to say about already what you're sharing and what you're letting people in on, and then B, there's so much to say about the redemption that comes with the blood and grace of God. And I think too, the power that and the intentionality that comes when God places you in positions that He does, and I'm like debating in my head whether to go there or not right now, because I feel like we could stay there for a minute. So, anyways, but keep going. Like, I love that you're sharing all that you're sharing.
So yeah, that was my first semester of my freshman year in college. And so I was partying with my friends, and I was doing that a lot, and then I got really drunk one night, and then I was like, I never want to do that again. You know, like that was terrible. I just don't remember anything what happened that night. And so, you know, but I was still not living according to the word. I was still not, you know, even though I wasn't doing that partying, I still wasn't really trusting the Lord with my life. And so, as I was like continuing to serve in the church, I got approached by, before here, I was in Sedalia, Missouri. And so just a little context there. But before the pastor approached me, and he was like, hey, you know, we really have been praying about this, and we think that it would be an incredible opportunity if you could come and serve with us on staff as the worship leader. And so immediately I said yes, because I was like, why not, you know? I was like, there's nothing to lose from here. And I think ever since that day, I realized, like, well, I got to start living right. I can't just keep doing what I was doing, you know, and serve as a worship leader, guiding and shepherding people in worship. And so I think, and it's not like those problems went away super fast right after that. Like, the Lord was working in those 3 years that I've never really fully seen. And it just amazes me of how He still chose and set me apart for that moment, for the rest of eternity, from that day on, you know, from that time, and just how He's been working. And so throughout those 3 years of my life, He was really just working in my heart, breaking off chains, but also showing me the seriousness of what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so over that time, the Lord in His grace was just ever so just there. And I don't know why I know it's because of because of His goodness and His faithfulness, but I still was suffering, like, why me? Like, out of anyone else, why like me? Because I knew all the dirtiness of my heart, and I knew all of that, and yet He was still having me in this position. And I would think it's just about a year ago where the Lord was really just tugging in on those strongholds of my life, of just finally just like, look, you can't live without me. Stop trying to do this on your own efforts and start trusting. And I think, you know, and it came through a lot of good community around me, relationships around me, healthy, godly relationships, brotherly and sisterly love, that true love that you're not going to find in pornography, true love that you're not going to find in all these things of this world. And I think that is God's testimony of His working just in my life to right now of where I'm at, of just like being here now, serving and leading. And I know it's not a mistake that I'm here right now talking with you guys. And so, I mean, really, I'm just thankful that His love doesn't give up on people, on His chosen people. And so all of that comes to Eric and I had a conversation in March, and since then, the Lord just led it, and it just happened. And I'm incredibly thankful and excited to be here and to serve and to also just have relationships, good, godly, and loving relationships with everyone. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me. Might have been a little bit too vulnerable there, but yeah, I mean, that's me. That's
no, there's no such thing as too vulnerable. Honestly, okay, so that's a word, Noah Hanson, because, and I have so many thoughts about this, and I'm sure Eric does too. And the first thing that I want to just like say is how relevant of a conversation again that we get to have today. Because like that's everybody. Like everybody has like nasty, grimy dirt of sin and things of like a secret place, but that's not your godly secret place that you really do keep hidden. And when the Bible talks about like bringing those things to light, like there really is the reason why genuinely is because like God redeems it and like Satan can no longer use it against you. And so it's like, you have like you said, you're a PK, you're a pastor's kid. And so it's like the expectations, not only that I'm sure your, mom and dad had for you, but like, just like your church family had, or for you or whatever, because of who you were and who you belong to and all the things, whatever. And it's like, even pastors' kids, get tangled up in sin, and honestly, I'm not to say that I don't want to be like, oh, it's biblical, because not saying that it is, but it's almost like, to me, the attack even on pastors' kids is greater because of the influence of who your parents are spiritually, and I just feel like there's got to be like this pull from the enemy and PKs of just like getting you off course, because there's so much value in your life and story having the parents, that also love God, and raise you the way that they do. You're a force to be reckoned with. And so, it's something that's super common, but like even people who it's everybody, it's flesh, it's human nature, it's sin. But like talking about things that like there are some sins that we're comfortable talking about because maybe a lot more people talk about them, or maybe to us, they're not as bad as others or whatever, but the Bible is clear, sin is sin. And that's really hard, I think, for our minds to really like wrap around that, like one sin is, maybe different than another one. But like for us, more shame comes with talking about pornography than it does like, oh man, I just can't quit lying to my mom. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but then also too, like, I think it's so common. It's not commonly talked about for, no, it's that. Not. But like also, I think when you talked about where you were in your walk, but yet like, in your decisions outside of the church building, but yet your roles and responsibility inside the church building, you were, drunk on a Saturday and then leading worship on a Sunday. And like also that's something that is more commonly, that happens more often than people would think. And like, there's so much to say here. I just remember like, in high school ministry, that's not something that's uncommon. Like when you've got your students involved in like leading worship and everything, like you may not know, but the kids sitting out there, like, they're leading, they know what they did last night, and it's just, it's a real problem. And it's like, there's this line of purity that, we have to have and integrity we have to have as leaders and all the things. But like, unfortunately, like, more kids would rather leave worship ministry to continue doing with their worldly habits than do what you did. And you left your worldly habits to continue doing ministry. Mm-hmm. And that's something that a lot more people struggle with. And even adults. You hear about scandals all the time, not just college kids, struggling to find their way. Like you hear adults who are like in great bondage and in great shame and it is in secret, but like until we like let that go and, work on that with the Lord and then talk about it, like be vulnerable enough to be like, man, here's who I was. And I agree with you that I'm undeserving, but here's the Lord's goodness. That's my story. That's Eric's story. That's my husband's story. That's, we can go along the lines of all of these pastors and, like that's a people story who have went from death to life. You know what I mean? Not a single person is like worthy of the position that we have. But it's just like, because we serve a God who loves us, and because there's power in his blood, and that's real power, transformative power. He brings us from death to life, and he redeems all these things, and he completely changes us. And so, I'll not say we laugh, but like the fact that, when meeting you and people meet you, like in this season and now and who you are, like people will say like, he's so pure. He's so humble. Like he's so, and then you knowing what your walk has been, you're like, the last thing I am is pure. The last thing I am is humble. The last thing I am, whatever. But it's like, that's what God does. You know what I mean? Like he just completely transforms us to the point where strangers see anointing before they see your shame. Like they see your calling before they saw who you were, and they hold you to like what the Lord is doing in your life right now than the decisions you made years ago, And so it's like, that is it's a real thing that exists for people. Like you can experience that kind of change. Yeah. That's so cool, Noah. I love that you shared that. Thanks. Hey, Eric. What's up over there?
What's up, man?
Hey, guys.
We both just turned. Noah and I are sitting next to each other. We're just looking at each other. We both just turned our chairs across the way.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me.
Hey, sorry. Yeah.
Thanks for letting me join in.
You can have a turn.
On the conversation.
Pass the mic.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of different ways we can unpack a lot of different things here. One thing, since we're there, we might as well go there, because it is such a prevalent thing, and whether you're male or female, porn is a industry and an addiction that is far-reaching of all ages,
and genders.
Yeah, and
it is not just boys.
And, it's sad how young the ages are that initially come into that. So I would be curious to talk about the kind of the practicalness behind steps that you took to overcome that, and to what did that look like? Obviously there's the spiritual side of it, but then there's also to actually overcome an addiction. Yeah. There's a practical side to that as well. So what, for somebody out there, because if there's more than 2 people listening right now, then that means somebody is listening that is struggling with a porn addiction. Yeah. So walk us through just what did that look like, not just on a spiritual side, but also like in just the practical side of overcoming an addiction.
Yeah. So sorry. But first thing is recognizing that you have the problem. I don't think you can fix a problem unless you have recognized it, that it is a problem, and that it is destroying, and that it is affecting your relationships, that it's affecting your how you approach things, people, relationships, just everything. I think the first thing is to recognize the problem, and then to really just dig deeper into that. And some other ways of that is just like taking away things that are going to lead to that. Like, take away your social media. Social media is junk. What you're going to see if you go on your little newsfeed, TikTok, whatever. I don't have TikTok, but I don't know why I said it. But just anything, you see anything, the enemy is going to attack at that. And I think the first thing is, even though it's hard, temporarily delete your account, so that when you go, and because I know on Instagram you can temporarily delete your account, and if you go to sign back on, it's going to ask you a question: are you sure? Are you sure you want to? Or if you actually delete it, it's going to ask you that same thing: are you sure you want to log back on? Because if so, it's going to it's going to keep your account. And so delete your social media, get parameters on your phone. There are apps out there that it's like parental vision, or parental watch, but I forgot the word. I don't know the word. I forgot it. but it's like, it's going to leave out anything that pertains, all that. I forgot. I'm having a brain.
It's going to block it.
It's going to block it. It's going to block it away from, clearly not your like Instagram post, but more from your like Safari or Google or just any of those kind of things. But a big thing that really helped for me is talking to people, telling people. I mean, first you want to recognize it. You want to try to get those things out, and you want to also talk to God about it. You know, first thing, you want to talk to God, like, I know I have a problem. Like, I know, like, I can't do it on my strength, you know, because I've seen it. And if you're going to do it without love, you're going to fail, because love conquers. And so through that, you then lead to godly wisdom from people who are close to you, who you trust. And so for me, I lean to two people, and I'm not going to say their names, but there are two individuals that have really served a big impact in my life, just spiritually, and just how to be a godly man and in this mess that I was in. And they really helped me out, and they were also my accountability people. I would just get texts, "Hey, how's it going? How are you doing? You know, thinking about you today." Just something like that. Or just even, I probably wouldn't talk to them for maybe 3 weeks, and I'd struggle, and I'd be like, "Hey, I want to talk." And they're like, "All right, come on in tomorrow." And like, they were just open. So I would find people and have accountability partners, you know, because you can't do it alone. You can't get past it alone. And really, at the end of the day, it's God's grace that is going to conquer that addiction, you know. But we must also put in the efforts ourselves too, to, you know, like, Lord, we know that you are handling it, but like, I want change, and I'm devoted to you and what you want done in and through this, and how it can be used for your glory. And so those are just some ways. There's probably a lot of ways, and it's different for everyone. That's just what has helped me in my season. But also, just one thing that really helps is living simple. You don't really have, no TV, just living life, going down to the basic roots of, what is life? Clearly they had no TVs then, and sin is probably still evident there in that time. But, I think just every way, just put off what's going to lead you down that path and dig in the word. Really. That's the word's going to save you. Nothing else is.
The discipline, I think, is super important.
Oh, yeah.
It takes such discipline to be able to walk through that kind of process, just knowing yourself. For me, the way that I can relate to this conversation is shopping and money, that's a real thing, that
or coffee.
But yeah, true. Right. But it's that thing for us. It's just that I know better, or I know that I should, or that I know I whatever, but lacking the self-discipline, yeah. and that's a big deal for everything across the board, and with money, if you don't have discipline with your money, you can get in so much trouble. Mm-hmm. The Bible talks about debt because debt is real and the heaviness of debt is real. And lackadaisical spending is there are consequences of just not stewarding what you're given well. And but that's the same thing with so many things, lacking discipline and just who you're becoming, or your job, or getting out of bad habits, or trying to, I don't say work your way out of sin, but untraining your brain, or your flesh to want something else or want something different. But the discipline that it takes is just that's real.
And it doesn't happen in one particular, right as soon as you start, it, kind of just as I said earlier, God can change someone in an instant, and we know that. But sometimes he leads us through to teach us discipline, to teach us, hey, stop relying on yourself. Start trusting me more and more. And sometimes that discipline, it's like running, in which I love to.
I was going to say, you're a runner, aren't you?
I love to run. And every time I run, I just think of this always just about, it's like running, and like when you first run, it's going to hurt. You're going to take, like, your gut's going to hurt. And then the next day is just going to get easier. And then the next day, and then 3 months down the line, you're like, heck, I can go run a 5K, which I can't.
I've never said that before, but I trust you.
I've never said that. I never said that in my life. But it's that discipline to just really just like be devoted, actually want change. Not just, I have to change. Actually want the change in your life. It's like we have the option to not change, and we have the option to change. And I think that if you want change, go and get it. Go and get it. Read the word. Dig into it. Understand what the word says, and then apply that to your life. Don't just sit there and just, it says it.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Shifting gears a little bit. As we mentioned, part of Noah's role is, he leads worship really for kids of all ages, from kindergarten all the way up through high school age. I know we talk about, what we learn from kids all the time. What is something that you'd say you have learned from kids about worship? Like what have the kids taught you about worship?
I think it just comes back to having childlike faith. And I'm sure that's pretty common when you talk about kids, but I think for the most part, some of my best moments here so far has been worship with the Kid Depot. And just to see, even though they might not fully understand everything, just to see their willingness, their heart to just like, I want to love the Lord, and I'll do whatever it takes to do it. I think that just encourages me so much. Just be like I know I don't have to be perfect when I'm leading. I know I don't have to be hit every single note. I know that like I'm gonna make mistakes, but like those kids, they're not gonna remember that. They're gonna be like, I want to be, I want to love the Lord, and we're gonna do it together. And so that childlike faith was really just resonated with me, of just having joy in the smallest things, the simplest thing, just having that joy, and stop really just like worrying about like having to be perfect. Like I don't have to be perfect to do what God has called me to. I don't have to be perfect. I know I'm not going to be perfect, but I think, having that childlike faith is just having the joy in the simplest things of just what I do. And so that's probably been the biggest thing for me.
I think there's a lot in the phrase willingness there, and I think that's something that adults desperately need to learn from kids, is which we've talked about this a little bit before, but the one thing that I have always loved about leading kids and students in worship is they don't think, they just do. They just react. Like there's no contemplation. There's no, should I do this? Should I not do this? Do I want to do this? No, it's just like they feel something and they react to it, and they kind of deal with it from there, and I see so often you can just watch adults try to work through worship and like in their mind, and you're just like, stop thinking. Like,
just do.
Are you willing? Like, answer the question in your mind right now. Are you willing? If the answer is yes, then it's really straightforward. If the answer is no, then that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But I think more times than not, by our lack of willingness, we're answering the question.
Mm-hmm.
And whether we think we are or not. And that's one thing I love about kids and their worship is because they're willing, and like you said, they may not even know why they're willing. They just know that they should be willing.
Yeah.
And they want to be willing. They have a desire to be willing and to be shown because they just know that they should.
Yeah. I think it says a lot too. Like, we just essentially came off of Family Worship Weekend. Was it 2 weekends ago now? And Family Worship Weekend is when we are led in worship by kids in student ministries, and even like communion, is so powerful. But I think it goes a long way saying like how moving those services are and how encouraging they are, and just how it's glorious, But I'm like, why? Because you're being led by children, yeah. But like their faith is childlike, and it's just like that goes a long way in worship. It goes a long way in life. It goes a long way in your walk with God. And so I mean, I just think like no wonder the Bible says it. We've talked about this before episodes ago, but like that is something like my teacher heart even loves. Like, kids are just incredible. Like, they make all the difference. And as a mom, my kids are incredible. They make all the difference. Then you're here and like, worship staff, and you get to work with these kids, leading, youth choir. And then like for Family Worship Weekend, they have mics, like they're leading the way, and, it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like that goes such a long way. Like, it's incredible. It's irreplaceable. Like, there's just nothing else like it. And so then I think like then the Lord made them that way. And then he like charges the adults to be like, this is what we're after here. This is the expectation. I just think it's kind of food for thought.
Yeah. And it's also just like along the lines, like willingness is also along the lines of like trusting. Like I think for all of us, we're called to just trust the Lord. Like, we're not going to know what it looks like exactly, but like when the Lord says something, we just do it. Like, we don't need to second guess. We don't need to question what he's calling us to do. We just need to do it. And I think from that, it just comes from knowing him, knowing the Lord, and knowing that, the Holy Spirit is going to lead us in ways that we're not going to understand. But through that, what's our reaction? Are we willing to just let him lead? Are we willing to just put our hands up and surrender? Just like just the other day, a couple weeks ago, I was watching a baby just learning how to walk, and this baby is just looking to its parents, looking at other people as like, oh, this is how to like walk. Like, they're gaining the strength in their legs, but they're also holding the father's hands, or the mother's hands, and they're right behind the father, and the mother's right behind him, walking this baby. And I think in the same way for us, this came to me is like, for us, we need to be in that same position because we're still learning, and we're not going to know everything about it. But like, we should have that childlike faith to trust our Father, to just walk, and just like, I don't know where you're going to take me at. We might be running here soon, but I think like for the most part, like, we need to be willing to trust in the Lord and just do, not just sit back and just watch and let other people do. We must have that childlike faith to just, I'm going to do it in faith, and let the Lord lead. And from there, he can do whatever he wants. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a word. That's good.
Well, Noah, it's
always a pleasure.
It's good to have you here.
It's lunchtime.
It is.
It's Mexican Friday.
It is.
Oh,
Mexican Food Friday.
Yeah.
But no, it's really cool to sit here, and I mean, now we're almost to a year from like the first time
we talked.
Yeah, I remember.
We were still in our old offices.
I mean, I got a message from Nick Malone is one of our residents here, and he had.
I remember that.
Yeah, he had said, "Hey, I know guys just got some questions and maybe interested in some stuff down the road." And honestly, like, I don't know, in my role, you get some of that a lot, and so you're always kind of like, "Oh, great, what do we what do we got going on here, you know? And so, you know, I think we connected and we, I think, emailed back and forth a little bit, and Noah sent in some like audition videos and stuff, and I remember watching those and like, all right, like those were good, like, you know, he's got ability, and like, you know, okay. And so I remember we set up a call to,
we did,
and we talked on the phone for a while.
That was in between classes.
Yeah. And we talked on the phone for a while, and I remember getting off the phone and just thinking, because at the time there really, like, we didn't have, like, there really wasn't anything open, you know, we didn't have any openings in our residency program, or as far as our staff goes, you know, there just wasn't really a spot. But I just remember getting off the phone. I think I told Brooke, I was just like, I don't know how it's going to work out, but like, there's something with that kid, and I don't know, I like him. And I was like, I don't know, there's something about it and so it was several months later, like, we had stayed in touch, and then we had kind of some opportunities arise. And I remember I texted you one day, just kind of out of the blue, and I was like, hey, do you want to go on CIY?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that was like I was actually working that day.
Yeah.
And I went to my boss and I said, because he knew everything that was going on, just because, you know, he's my boss. I was just letting him know.
Because
at the coffee
you're precious
shop.
and you're thoughtful.
At the coffee shop. Yeah. Well, he was also one of my best friends, so
that's awesome.
So yeah, shout out to him, Michael.
But hey, Michael.
Yeah. if he listens, I don't know. But I was just like, I got the text and I was like, that's next week. Hey, Michael, can I? And he's like, do it, go. And that's so great. Like, I mean, and I think that's the Lord's grace right there. Mm-hmm. Like, was like guiding that, like, you need to go. And so, yeah, I mean, it's even crazy just to see how this all came to be, because there's a little bit more with,
there's so much more.
There's so much more with it that just happened. And I was just like, I was just talking to a friend the other day about it, and it was just crazy just to see how everything just aligned to be just like, it just worked out. I don't know how.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
and Eric's spiritual gift, truly one of the many though, like, but he would never say it, is like his gift of discernment. Mm-hmm. And, like you and Eric, there's like one other time that comes to mind, like, of recent, and it's the same, essentially a very similar situation, but like when Eric, I guess, you know, that was all going on with like the videos and the conversations and like the initial like meeting you via, you know, social media, whatever. Phone call. And, but like when he did say, like he said, he mentioned to me, like, there's just something here, like, then I knew like it's only a matter of time, because it's like, if I knew if he felt that way, that wasn't like from him. And it was just kind of like it was a way to like, okay, we'll sit here and trust this situation for a minute, and we'll see how God works this out. Like you said, you know, but he's always so spot on. And when he didn't question, he was more curious than questionable. Like, he did not question if like you were a person who, whatever, like, it was like, he was curious. Like, I wonder how the Lord's going to work this out, you know? And so it was really cool for me to see, like, you know, Eric walk that just with our department of like, okay, like, here's this need, here's this kid, here's this opportunity, like following Holy Spirit, being prayerful about, you know, what we do. And like, just watching him follow the Lord with the Lord's pursuit for you was really cool for me, because like when you came in, I was like, this is about to be really good. And, and so I just think it was cool, even from my perspective. And I knew almost like I knew your brother, you know, and, your family more so of like, them personally, but like my best friend grew up essentially with, you know, your brother, and it was really good friends. That's how I met Zach. And like, I just know, like, I think personally, so many things that your family had, you know, like your family's been in ministry for so long, and that is a hard gig. You know what I mean? And like, so just, I think for me, knowing like all the things your family has had to walk or is walking or whatever. And it's like just for me to then like see like your heart was still for Jesus, and you had a desire for ministry, and your parents were gracious to just bless you in your endeavors. And like, I just thought, man, this is just so much more than we even recognize, you know? And so like you said, there's so many layers to your decision and what God did and how he provided and all the things. And he's not, you know, he's going to keep showing up and showing off like that, because that's just what he does. But there's so many layers to it. And so I just knew that about you coming into this. And I also said earlier, like before we were recording, one of the things, my first impression of you, besides just knowing and admiring like that part, without really knowing you, just a little bit of your, you know, your background, I thought it was cool. But what really got me was when somehow, I guess, I don't know if you told Eric that you were listening to Praise Podcast, and we were talking about, it was like it's like the first episode or whatever, like when we were talking about the praise culture. Yeah. And you were like, I've watched some services, like I listen to your podcast, like, you know, you guys talking about your heart behind praise. Like I agree with all that. I love all that, whatever. And like, I was like, okay, he's a podcast listener, bring him on. Let's go, you know? But anyways, just God did, he did, and he's still in the work, or he's still, you know, doing all the work of making your story just so cool. And he's so intentional. We just love you. We love your family. We're just excited to see what comes of it. And there's so much more to come of it and from it. And he's faithful, so we're going to see it. You know, he's good, so we're going to be able to experience it. And I'm just excited to watch you continue to like mature and grow and challenge yourself and your kids you lead, because you lead. I mean, you got to challenge your high school students. You got to challenge your third graders, you know, like you've got, you know, top to bottom kids that you lead, and the Lord's going to continue to just like prepare your heart and stretch your heart to like do that job well. And so I'm just thrilled to have you. I think it's cool just to see what God has done and what he's going to keep doing. So yeah, Noah, you're a blessing.
It's good stuff.
You're a pure, sweet, precious blessing.
Yep. Preach it. What Brooke said. I don't know if I can say pure, sweet, precious, but yeah.
I want to hear
it.
Can you say it?
No, I don't think so. But yeah, no, we're blessed here to have just a lot of great and talented people. Noah's one of those. So if you have a kid or a student that you know is in those areas, know that they are being led well, and that Noah he's very intentional about what he does and how he does it in worship, and that's one thing that you know we strive for and focus on, whether it's kids or adults, is you know, how being intentional and how we are leading worship and doing it in a way that God would have us do it, and the responsibility that comes with that. So it's good to have you on the team, Noah. Thanks for sharing today. Yeah, thanks for being open and honest, and allowing us to talk about things that is not always easy to talk about, but I know people listening can take away and can learn from, and can find hope in and encouragement in. And so we appreciate that. If you are listening to this, and as always, if you know somebody that would benefit from the conversation we had today, please share this podcast with them. Put it on your social media. We'd love to be able to just encourage anybody who may need it today, and you know, especially if you know somebody that, or you yourself, is you know, struggling with a porn addiction. It's a real thing, and we know it affects a lot of people, and it's something that, as Noah mentioned, really the first step is recognizing that and understanding it, and taking a step to talk to somebody about it. And I think I can speak for Noah that he would be more than happy and willing to be a person to start that conversation with you. So you can email him at Noah, which is NOAH @centralnow.com, or you can always email in to Brooke or I at Eric@centralnow.com or Brooke @centralnow.com, and we'd love to hear from you and pray with you, or just hear from you. Say hey. So thank you all for listening to today's episode of the Praise Podcast. It's always great to hang out with you all. And remember, in every day and every way, let's be people that bring the praise. We will see you next time.